The recent Themed Entertainment Association numbers have just been revealed for the year of 2024, and people were surprised by the top, I would say, 15 listing right there. Why? Because Universal, at least Universal Studios Florida theme park and the Islands of Adventure theme park, took tremendous hits in 2024. Now people have been citing, hey, this is because of Epic Universe, and that is indeed the case. But we're here to tell you that that drop could have been much, much worse. You can see this right here in this report from the Themed Entertainment Association by a column right there. And at number 13 and number 14 on these lists is what we're talking about right here. Universal Studios Florida experienced a drop 2.6% for a 9.5 million head count there for their yearly attendance, and Universal's Islands of Adventure with a 5.5% reduction in attendance for 9.45 million guests that year. Significant declines for sure. But here's the thing, folks. There is a reason why Universal Studios Florida was higher on this list, at least in terms of the top 15, than Islands of Adventure, something I've never actually seen before. And that's because Universal was doing all it could in the year of 2024 to prevent this attrition from actually happening, as best as they could, obviously. And what did they do? Well, you remember that DreamWorks Land opened in the summer of 2024, right there, June 14th, 2024. DreamWorks Land is now open at Universal Orlando Resort. You'll also know that Sensational also made its debut in 2024, right here, June 15, 2024, by Blake Taylor from Attractions Magazine. And the one from Universal right here, the Mega Movie Parade also stepped off and thrilled guests with E.T., Jaws, Ghostbusters, all your iconic brands and franchises were featured in there. And that too stepped off in the summer of 2024. Again, this is why Universal Studios Florida overtook Islands of Adventure when it came to the attendance for that year. Again, still very, very bad, but I will contend that, look, entertainment is a great way to bring guests into your park. Again, like Walt Disney World, for example, it's Wall City right now. Not a lot of people are really looking to go to Walt Disney World during the 3 to 5 years that they'll be waiting for Villains Land, Cars Land, Monstropolis, and so forth. Entertainment's a great way to get people back in here, and it's demonstrated in this report right here. Universal Islands of Adventure didn't do so hot because it really didn't have anything new to offer for that year, versus Universal Studios Florida had 3 new offerings, and that's why it topped out on that list. Now, Robert Niles is saying that, well, Disney shouldn't build a 5th gate because of this problem. And it's like, you might have issues for maybe 2 years, maybe, a couple years or whatever, but to not expand meaningfully because you might take a hit in the short term, I don't know if that's a good strategy right there, Cotton. But I want to go ahead and hear from you guys. Universal Studios. Look, it could have been a lot worse. It was bad. What do you guys think about this?
Look, I think that they're going to have some trouble with some of their earnings based on some of their declining pillars of greatness. One of those pillars being broadband offerings and television offerings. I think that that's just a result of cord cutting, and the broadband is they have heavy competition now, especially with new Starlink options, especially with 5G options that are coming online. Verizon is coming in and kind of undercutting them in the broadband internet side of things. So they can rely on parks revenue. It went up substantially, 20%, I believe, or maybe a little bit, somewhere near that. And that was what I expected. And I think that their market share is going to be even higher once we get to the end of the year, taking away even more of Disney's opportunity to earn. But as with any business that's multifaceted like that, and very reliant on, the verticals and everything else, I think that I think that in a position that they're in, there's value there that the investors are having a short-term reaction to. And I think that the parks is really going to go up. I also think there is a decent chance that if Paramount ends up buying Warner Brothers, they might be willing to part with pieces that might interest Comcast Universal. And I suggest Harry Potter and other things like that. I suggested that last night as well. But after this morning's earnings call that I was trying to pay attention to while I was setting up my show, I think that, I think that this small decline that they're having this morning is short term. Their adjusted EPS of $1.12 was really good, considering everything else that was happening. But having things tail off 5% early this morning isn't a big surprise. But I think again, it's going to be the new CEO of Platforms guy. I forget his name, James something or another. Anyway, I think they're going to rely on him to kind of recoup 104,000 internet subscribers. So
Right.
that decline in customer base can be cyclical, but they've now had, I believe, 3 consecutive quarters of losing in that area. So my thoughts are, this is a short term thing that they're going to have right now, but their real areas of growth and sustained revenue is going to be the theme parks, and I think they recognized that 5 years ago.
Well, we'll get into more earnings call coverage for sure in upcoming coverage here in that park place. That is for sure. Ron, I want to go ahead and hear from you. Look, I don't necessarily agree with Robert Niles. Yes, you might have some cannibalization, and yes, it might hurt in the short term. There's no question about it, because you're going to be investing and you're going to be putting off this investment. It's going to take several years in order to manifest, right? And it is going to be something that people might actually wait for. But I think the results for Epic are going to speak for themselves. That being said, though, Ron, what can Disney glean from this?
Oh boy, that's interesting. I don't think Disney's worried about attempting to glean anything from this, to be honest with you. Their response to everything that Universal has been doing, at least in the parks in Florida, has been so slow that they're just so behind the 8 ball. I don't even think it matters what they glean from it, if they do, because even if they do, their response is still slow, and 5 years down the road. Look, I look at the response of Disney to the opening of Epic and all the different things that they're doing in the park, and yet they have overlooked Epcot and the things that they didn't finish there. When I ride the monorail in the Epcot now from the Magic Kingdom, and they still talk about the Play Pavilion that sits behind a barricade as an empty gold dome shell of nothing from the wonders of life, it's like, what are you doing, Disney? Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. On the other hand, when we looked at those numbers from 2024 and they were down for Universal in 2024, I think the real numbers that are going to be important aren't even this year. I think it's next year.
Oh, yeah.
Because
absolutely.
when you go into 2026, here's what happens between the Florida parks in 2026. You have Universal replacing Rip Ride Rocket. That's their construction project. But when you go into the park, that really doesn't affect your stay. Those
Right.
construction walls, I know that whole ride kind of like it was on the exterior of the park. So
yeah,
like totally works for rebuilding that. Now, having experienced it, I would say the other thing that they definitely need to replace is that Fast and Furious piece of junk that they have at Universal. That was horrible.
I can't say anything about that, but that might already be in the works.
I certainly hope so. That was an atrocity. But regardless of that, I have seen it. Actually, I have Cinesational and the movie Parade. Both of them in their full shows are on my channel, and they've gotten a good response on the channel. But more importantly than that, I've seen them in real life, and they are remarkable. And what they're doing with water, like, this is such a lesson to Disney. They've got 2 prime water shows in their parks now between Epic Universe and Universal, and it is more magical. I mean, I hate to use that word. I know that's Disney's word, but Universal's stealing the magic from Disney because Disney is losing all their water. Epcot, you walk into that and it's just so dry, and that whole center area that just seems like a college quad on a local college, not even a university campus. We're talking a community college campus quad level.
Right.
And it's just it's awful. So you go into 2026, and the comparison that you have is Walt Disney World, which was the big flagship resort, and everything's behind walls in almost every park that you go to, even the resorts. Still just a lot of construction going on over there. Maybe it gives people hope for the future, but for now, I think people are going to redirect a lot of their vacations to Universal, where they have 3 amazing parks to go to. Stuff for the littlest of kids in the DreamWorks Land and the Isle of Berk. They've got stuff over there. They have the Seuss Land, by the way, amazing for little kids. They got all these wonderful things over there. They're catering more to the families. And the funny thing is, Universal is always kind of, it's like switching the audience, because Universal always catered more toward the older crowd, and they're really working on catering towards families now. And you see that, and it's amazing the offerings that they're giving, and they're bringing in this entertainment that creates a value that's more amazing, because while Disney's cutting it, Universal's bringing more entertainment in. You've got the value with the parks. You've got everything open. You've got stuff to see that's brand new, that's never been seen before with Epic Universe. And what happens from 2026 and over the next 5 years, as you have families going to Universal and going, wow, this is really cool. I want to come back. I want to tell my friends. And you have that word of mouth, and that comes, and you're building a customer base. I think we're almost seeing something that's like the beginning of an evolution of a total change in the theme park environment in the world.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And I think Epic Universe definitely marks that for sure. But I mean, leading up to it, they understood. I think Universal understood. Hey, look, we're going to get a little bit of fall off right before Epic Universe starts, because you got to think, like, if you're spending thousands of dollars on a vacation in order to see everything at Universal, to wait another year, a lot of people are going to do that. And I think a lot of people did, and that's fine. But they understood, okay, we still got to get people in here for this year right before Epic Universe actually opens. They went with the entertainment package, and they were, I think, richly rewarded for it. I understand there was always going to be attrition, but it could have been a lot worse had they not done the entertainment. And for what Disney can glean from this, I think it's very simple. I think it's like, look, if we're going to have 3 to 5 years of construction at Walt Disney World, whether it's Disney's Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom especially, we've really got to provide the entertainment package. We've really got to get people to come back, especially in these windows that just, we've seen attendance just plummet. Get some short-term entertainment in there. It's not a huge cost right there, and perhaps you can go ahead and end those entertainment offerings when those expansions actually do show up in order to balance out everything or whatever. But in the short term, you got to have something to bring people in. Universal understood that, and they think they achieved that very successfully. Consider.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.